Hello there, my name is Leslie Garbs and this is Alia. In this occasion, I would like to talk about gaslighting. I have two books that are amazing. Gaslighting Games is this one, and this one is also very good. Both are like really good, very simple to study, and gaslighting is a weapon or a technique that evil people, narcissistic, abusive people, narcissistic personality disorder people use against victims, against other people who are attractive for them. And one thing about gaslighting is that it can be on purpose, or it can be, I have noticed that it can also be as if, in other words, there are people who are already gaslighting you. They're already starting with 2-3 lies, and it's automatic. But some other people, in other words, they're not even conscious of it anymore. Where there are other people who do it, of course, on purpose. With gaslighting, there's always something wrong with you. In other words, a gaslighter can be someone who look at you in a way that, oh my God, you feel like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. That's like the basis of gaslighting. Gaslighting is also based on lies, shame. In other words, when I look at you like that, for example, that could be one way. Then you feel like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. My makeup is not okay, or I don't know, my high heels are whatever. You know what I mean? Like you have this feeling that there's something wrong with you. That's something very important that I want to first say, because it's pretty much like that. That's how it starts. Gaslighting has three different ways in which you can feel the disgust, or in which you can feel the discomfort with it. Okay, you're here, you're clean, you are just going somewhere. Then you find someone who has the ability mentally, or with words, with word salad, to do truth bending. In other words, truth bending technique. So if I tell you, well, you know what, oh my God, I had to do this and to do that, and then you twist it and you turn the reality, or you turn what I'm saying, or you see, and you bend it, truth bending. Which is, of course, really bad, because I don't need to discuss. If I'm telling you one thing and you're telling me absolutely the opposite, or you're telling me that I'm a liar, you see, that's what it causes. It causes in your head, oh my God, wait, but then you see, it doesn't make sense. It's really, that's why it's so invasive, because it's like, in other words, you're trying to make sense with what that is your side of the story, or in other words, your mind was not counting on having to prove or make sense, for instance, to whatever it is, your story, or whatever it is that you were saying. So that's number one. Number two is truth bending, reality denial. Oh my God, reality denial technique. It's a little bit the same. you have a reality, or you are who you are, or you have what you have, and the person put in your head seeds of lies, or of, it could be also fears. But you were clean 1 minute ago. You were clean. You just come and you say, for example, you go to your boss, you say, well, you know what, I was sick because that's why I'm not going to be able to come, to come to today or whatever. Or, and then this person can put in you seeds of fear, seeds of insecurities in your head, or where, you see, gaslighting is always about, it's as if something doesn't match, but in your head, you have your story, or you have your side of the story, or you have your reality, if you want to call it that way. But the gaslighter, you see, he knows what he's doing. He's putting seeds in your brain. That's why it is so important to, the more that you're cleaning, the more clear that you see it. And I'll give you an example. I was dealing with someone, with a patient, and this person, suddenly, I told, no, this person was talking, for example, about a movie that is called The Birds. And this movie is a little bit scary because, whatever. And I felt, that's why it's important to be clean, especially when you're going to be dealing with people that you don't really know or something. Because you have to be clear in your head, and you are like, okay, but I'm totally clean. Suddenly, I start having fears in my head, a little bit here and there. And truth bending, because when I confronted him a little bit, I said, wait, but you were telling me last time about this movie, this and that. And then the person tries to twist it and turn the meaning again of what I am saying. So, wait. You see? Twisting reality, twisting truth. And then he's trying to tell me, no, I didn't. In other words, he's trying to hide that he scared me. That he, of course, in other words, his words had the intentions, or the intention to hurt, to scare me a little bit. So I'm like, wait a minute, but this movie, this and that. And then I see again the strange movement. That's why it's so good to be clean. Because when you're clean, then I'm like, I'm just here. You know what I mean? Like, so, truth bending. And then twisting. You see, with gaslighting, there is always this twisting. And again, if your mind is too complicated at the moment, it's very hard to identify. However, with all the books that I've been reading, I'm gonna be, I've created a list for myself of the different techniques that abusers use. And like, if you would like to have that list, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna prepare like a little book or something, so that you can buy it, because it's from all the things that I've seen, from all the techniques that I could study along the years, along my studies with abuse and with narcissistic abuse and stuff. And it's very interesting, because when I use that list with myself, and then that's the very first step. Then the second step that I do is, then I write how I feel next day or in the next days. And like I said, for example, with gaslighting, specifically speaking about gaslighting, then tomorrow, then you have a little bit, you feel scared out of nowhere, like, because you're safe, more or less, you have more or less an okay life, or you have more or less a the days go by more or less stable, let's put it that way. And suddenly then you start having these, in your mind, you have fears out of nowhere, or you can have also mental confusion. You see, because this is a, it is confusing. If I tell you one thing, and for example, and again, it is interesting when you, for example, you say the same thing to somebody else, and this other person says, "But no, everything is fine. I know exactly what you're saying." You know what I mean? So let's not forget that this technique is very, very dangerous. And I tell you, in the years that I am conscious about this, when I bought these books 2, 3 years ago, the government used gaslighting. In job center, for example, they used to use gaslighting with me, because gaslighting pretty much have to do with creating different ideas in your head, slowly or faster, depending. Or it can also be in a way that you feel as if you have to prove something, because obviously if somebody is double guessing your reality or what you're explaining, then it comes a time in which you always feel like you have to prove, and it's, oh my god, it's so, that's really, really in other words, you're training yourself to double guess yourself, like your abuser, or like that this person. And let's not forget that it's not only one person, or that is not only one. I tell you, in the time that I have studied these books, the government used to do that with me. I said, "Thank you for your money, goodbye, take your money, ciao, I'm gonna work," because it was driving me crazy, because it's crazy making. It comes the moment in which you feel so insecure, as if you don't know, you know what I mean, like you cannot count on your own idea or on your own system or security system, or what you know, or what you, in other words, you're always kind of double guessing yourself. And especially with authorities, authority people, you have to be careful, because they're only human too. I tell you, the government was doing that. That's gaslighting, anyways. And my head was going round in circles. You know what I mean? And I was having all the consequences from gaslighting. And pretty much, I want to keep it short. Like, I don't want to make a long video, but maybe I can make another one specifying a little bit more. But pretty much, I think that gives you an idea how dangerous that can be. And normally, I like to, make my videos a little bit more for children. You know what I mean? Not so. In other words, if I'm going to talk about gaslighting, then try to make it a little bit not so strong or something. But the truth is that you have to disconnect from these people. That's pretty much, hopefully many times, that's pretty much the only ways. I mean, as much as you can, to keep your sanity, put your sanity first. Because, like I explained at the beginning, there are people who automatically, they're starting gaslighting you. One lie here, one lie there, combined with a word salad, for example, combined with a little bit of putting you down here and there, and then you don't know where you're standing. And needless to say, when the abuse is too much for you, it comes the moment in which you don't defend yourself anymore. So, learn defenselessness comes when it is already so confusing for you. So I tell you, I mean, for all of us who have been there and stuff, is, it's not a game. And I'm so glad that I'm taking this so seriously, because sometimes, for example, when you go to a place and you don't know the people or something, but you have your own system of intuition, and for example, you can start with cognitive dissonance. It's like, in other words, your mind, it doesn't make sense with what your mind, with your, let's put it that way, with what you believe, let's put it that way, for example. Or um, your mind can also go to brain repetitive mute, brain repetitive, in other words, rumination, brain repetitive, in other words, you're repeating, and sometimes it is very interesting, because sometimes it can also be as if you are trying, but in your brain, right, you are trying to explain that person. And for example, it happened to me with someone that I met that has to do with abuse and this and that, and you know what I mean. And I was gonna see if it matched with me, and my brain was like, I stayed like 2-3 days trying to explain her how I feel and why is this like that, and all the things that I've studied. It means that my cells, my neurons, and her neurons, or what she presented to me, doesn't make sense, don't match together, because your brain is always trying to kind of match when you meet someone, or when you have a conversation or a deep conversation with someone, and this and that. And it can be about this, it can be about abuse, it can be about gaslighting, whatever. However, it was so strong, and that's why I highly recommend the list that I'm gonna be selling, or that I'm gonna, I'd rather put it in a book, so that you can really relate to the different techniques that abusers use. Because some of them are really soft. You don't, in other words, we were talking about normal things, but this person and I are from heaven to, to the moon, or from earth to the moon, far in terms of what it can be beliefs, or it can be, in other words, I feel like, I have to explain her. No, and she didn't understand this. You see, abusers do that sometimes because they don't know any better, but most of the times, in other words, then it's not necessarily an abuser, but most of the times, it's like a deficit that they do on purpose. They put it on purpose there, so that you have to always, kind of like, like you suffocating, like you need to explain him, and you need to explain him more, and you need to, that's gaslighting. You have this feeling that, oh my gosh, she didn't understand, oh my god, this and that. In other words, you're kind of rescuing her when she has her own brain. Do you understand what I mean? Like, and she studied like me, or probably more than me, because she even works for the government, for example. And it's heartbreaking, because sometimes you would like to find somebody that makes sense with you, or that, for example, with Dr. Iñaki Piñuel, or with Dr. Barbara Heffernan, I never had that. Why? You see what I mean? Because they're not abusers, they're professionals, they're trying to help people. So some people pretend or make you believe that they try to help you, but in reality, you know what I mean? They don't, they are abusers in disguise. And I remember Dr. Ross Rosenberg, and he was talking about, he had a problem with his spine, alias, and 3 chiropractors. He went to 2 chiropractors, and when he went to the third one, he told him that he had pains. And in other words, the other 2, or now I don't remember exactly, I think he mentioned three or two. The other ones were gaslighting him, telling him, making him believe that he didn't have his pains in the back. Think about it. And you are dying with the pain, and there's somebody's telling you that you're not having the pain. Dr. Ross Rosenberg, who is, hello, he is, like an expert in abuse, you know what I mean? So, the problem with abusers, especially narcissistic abuse, narcissistic personality disorder people, or psychopath directly, is that they do this and you try to convince them, no, instead of that, when you already have your attachment system, what is called the attachment system of your brain healing, in other words, your brain is already so calm that you are not in defense mode or anything, or you come and go, because I mean, we're still alive here in this world. It's hard to be all the times like calm, right? But you can see that you're getting better, and then you know what I mean. The right question or the right answer for this is no, disconnect. No, Leslie, go. Let him. And I tell you, for example, with this girl, with this lady, it was 1 week ago already, and I'm still ruminating. Now I have I had a lot of rumination. I had hypervigilance, but my hypervigilance now is as if, for example, if I'm walking and people are talking, and then I feel as if they're talking about me, which I don't think so, because I mean, I'm not famous or anything, you know what I mean? But it's abuse. And the strange thing is that I didn't have that before, and that's why I tell you, the list that I am preparing gives you, it's from all the books that I have been studying, and the little techniques. Even gaslighting, I have divided it in 2 or 3 steps, because there are different types of gaslighting. So pretty much that's it for today, and I hope my words can help you a little bit to clarify your mind. And very important, when you are in doubt, when you with people and you see that you went one way and then you go out worse than you came, that's a sign that these people are highly abusive and that you need to disconnect them. Maybe for good, preferably, probably. Or, you are careful, you see when your mind is getting better, then you see if it was a misunderstanding or little by little. But again, with abusers, and there are so many in this time that I'm like, oh my God, my head is like a washing machine sometimes, because really, people are going also with, like with their minds going running circles and not making sense many times. So, but again, then you go to another place, and then you notice that everybody is normal, everybody's fine, and that's a good sign, because sometimes you don't find the healthy people that fast, and then you think, oh no, then it must be me. No, you have to keep searching, and that's why the doctors, the psychologists, and recommend so much to, zero contact, and then try to heal, try to see how you're feeling, and then one day, of course, you, let's say 3-4 days later, or maybe 1 week, whatever it takes you, then one day you feel much better, and then you are like, oh my God, wait, I'm healed again. And try not to go to the same people, but try to, for example, if you go to a supermarket and there's always something there and you go worse than you came, then go to another one and take a look how you feel. It happened to me also with supermarkets. I have a supermarket in front of me, and then I have another one, and the one that is closer, my head was running circles and this and that. Whenever I go to the other one, I always feel happy, I feel beautiful, I feel positive. Allah. Because there is also a difference between one abuser out of nowhere, only one, or when you are in a system of abuse. In other words, this one is abusive, the other one. And sometimes, in the past, we didn't study that way, or we didn't, we were not so conscious about how this energy, this bad energy, because these people are evil people, and sometimes, they do strange things, or they have this kind of mentality or this kind of thoughts or whatever. And then the more sensitive, the more that you take this seriously, then you realize that this is not a game, it's for real. You know what I mean? And there are people who are really have their energy. No, you don't have to. You can disconnect. That's what I mean. The hope, the good news is that there are other people, and try to find the people who you feel comfortable with, right? So this is Alia, and I wish you a very lovely weekend. Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks.